shifting at the convenience store behind me, located at the 900 block of Rancho. This is located at the intersection of Rancho and Washington, and it's on the northwest corner. Earlier this evening at approximately 5:31 p.m., officers responded to a report of a stabbing that occurred in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven. As officers responded to the parking lot of the 7-Eleven and arrived on scene, they located a male who was just inside the store who had been stabbed, and they began to treat him medically here on scene. Once medical arrived, they transported that male to UMC, where unfortunately he was later pronounced deceased. As officers first arrived on scene, another call came out of a male in the neighborhood just to the northwest of the convenience store reporting that he had been shot at the same convenience store. Officers from Bolton Area Command responded to that house, made contact with that male, noticed that he matched the same description of the male who had stabbed the victim at the 7-Eleven, and he was taken into custody without further incident. Based on those details, homicide has responded. We've taken over this investigation, and the investigators will be out here throughout the night as we continue to do our investigation, where we interview the witnesses who are present here on scene, the store clerks and people who are in the parking lot, also as we watch surveillance video from the store and nearby businesses. The preliminary information that we have is that it's pretty detailed, so I'll go into it, and if you have questions at the end, please ask me. Is that our suspect, who is a male in his 40s, was in front of the 7-Eleven, loitering, possibly panhandling in front of the business. As he was there in front of the business, our victim and an associate of the victim drove up in their car. Our victim then goes into the store, and our victim's friend, who is a passenger in the car, gets into a verbal dispute with our suspect, again, who is in front of the store, panhandling or loitering. During that verbal interaction, they get into it, it becomes heated, at which point in time our suspect charges at that male, the passenger of the car. And when he charges at that male, that male removes a firearm from his person and points it at the suspect and discharges a round. That round does not strike our suspect, it appears at this point in time, but they immediately disengage from one another. Right around that same time, our victim comes out of the business because he was inside the convenience store, and it becomes another verbal altercation that occurs at that point in time. But shortly thereafter, our victim and his friend, who discharged the round, get into the car, and they leave the 7-Eleven parking lot, and they park on the street right behind the 7-Eleven, and it's the car parked right by the speed limit sign right there. We then know that they come back to the 7-Eleven parking lot, where then they reapproach our suspect. There's a physical altercation, at which point in time is when our victim is stabbed. After he's stabbed, he runs into the 7-Eleven, and that's how we get the two different calls for service. Right now, again, our suspect is in custody. He is cooperating with investigators. We're at the residence to the northwest of here, and we're processing the scene here. We still have quite an extensive investigation to do to ascertain all of the finer details of how the interaction played out. But that is what we know at this time. I urge anyone with any information related to this investigation to please reach out to the LVP homicide section or reach out through Crime Stoppers of Nevada for any information, whether it's before the incident, during the incident, or after the incident, especially interactions we had maybe with the suspect who was standing in front of the store prior to this happening. With that, I'll take any additional questions you may have. I'm not advised of any injuries that he has on him at this point in time, but we have reviewed surveillance video, and we can confirm aspects of the story that he's telling us, and it appears pretty accurate.
You may have said this already. The residents, any of the suspects or the did anybody live there?
The suspect lived at that house, and he was the person who called in the shooting because he was reporting that he was shot at.
Do we know the reason why for the verbal altercation?
We do not know that at this point in time. The friend is here on scene. He is cooperating with investigators, and we'll get a lot of that detail from him. But those are some of the finer details that I'm referring to that we will get once we get all of our interviews completed.
And were the suspect and the victim and his friend strangers, or is there a relationship?
All indications right now is they do not know each other at all. The only two people that know one another is the male who was the passenger in the car and the victim who was deceased. And the deceased male is in his 30s, and the suspect is in his 40s, and the male who discharged the firearm is in his 40s. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.